That was like cat-like reflexes here.
But YouTube tells me be patient. You probably get the complaint all the time.
It's like, hey, YouTube, do you know me? Okay. All right. Would like to call to order the Charter Revision Commission meeting of May 21st. Roll call, all members are present with the exception of Ed DePoe. Approval of minutes of the preceding meetings. We would have the regular meeting of May 7th. Everyone's received.
I just received them. I'm reading them right now.
Take a minute to read them
Yeah,
through.
would you mind? Yeah, I'm trying to do some speed reading here. I'm sure they're fine. She's got a great track record.
Catherine's name is spelled wrong.
And there was a typo. There was the first time it's mentioned.
Yep. Not in the attendance, but in the...
Yeah.
Then there was a little typo I saw somewhere. They transposed something. I don't have a copy of it. Yeah.
Everyone good with the minutes?
That was
Okay. Then, is there a motion to approve the minutes by Tom, seconded by Catherine? Discussion? Then, by show of hands, all those in favor? Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Yeah, I think I'm sure.
You can abstain.
There wasn't
Yep.
there.
Yeah. So five in favor and one abstention. We won't hold it against you.
Yeah, I should. I didn't see it on. If I saw it on the tape, that would
Right.
be different. But I would feel like I'm up to speed.
Yep. Next item 4, public comment. No one from the public is here, so we'll go to number 5. So now this was, I had listed this on the agenda when I put the agenda out, which was discussion resolution, additional recommendations, Chapter 6-7, the special appropriations proposed language change to be presented to the commission at our June 4th meeting. But I do know that we've received information on the question, right? So how about if we'll talk about doing the approval of the question number 4. And I know, Mike, you brought this to us through your interactions with the Board of Finance.
Well, through the CFO. I didn't speak to any of them directly. They are going to consider this on Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. It's in their packet for their meeting, so they'll see exactly what you're seeing here. So,
Okay.
Word of mouth is they're fine with changing it because 20,000 is too low.
Yep.
And they're fine with it not being a number but being a formula which is indexed to the town budget. So
Yeah.
they'll look at it, they'll discuss it. Maybe they'll change it, maybe they'll tweak it, maybe they won't. But I think that we're on pretty solid ground right now with that.
Okay.
We were discussing the percentage, I think, Mike.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it says. So I'm sorry if I've confused everybody with my reds. My reds that were lines through them are the existing charter language that's being crossed out, and the reds that don't have any lines through them are the suggested charter language that replaces it. And once we look at that and decide that that's the way we go, then we'll just come up with a final version without any red lines. But,
Well, red lines are good. 'Cause
Yeah.
it shows
Yeah.
you where
Yeah,
you
it
were
does,
and
right,
where.
exactly.
yeah, and then
Yellow.
so then Carl layers on top of it his yellow,
Yeah.
which
That's a good way to distinguish it, though.
you know it's controversial as to what really is advocating and not advocating one way or another. And there is a moment in time when you can advocate. It's not when you get close to it would not be after the selectmen had their public hearing
Right.
and then adopted those questions for ballot. The town cannot say yes or no on it.
Right.
But as we live right now, we could actually put this up on our website and say, hey, this is what we think we should be doing. Or not our website, but probably on our Facebook page. Something a little less formal than a website. But
Right.
Well, when you have the public hearing to explain it, can you do it then?
yeah, I don't see why you
Yeah.
can't.
It's
I
the
don't-
reasoning behind why
There's only
you...
one person in the world that used to share a building with you that I think would ever complain about George.
So what was the problem with advocating?
It's a state elections commission has kind of rules around it, and I mean the worst thing that can happen.
Because we're just a charter
We're
review
just,
commission.
the worst thing that could happen is you would send this out. Well, for example, the Board of Ed at one point was going to send something out advocating to everybody, vote yes on this because this is, and that's a no-no. And if you do that, and if someone complains to the Elections Commission, then there's a fine involved in the person that did it. And the first selectman of East Windsor got fined a couple of times, Jason Bauza. And it wasn't really a lot of money.
So I think what I think it is, based on my prior experience, is so you have the documents that we have in front of us, which are further down on the agenda. But so the explanatory text is the official text that would go and be posted
That's
at
correct.
at the polling place,
Right.
or used in any publication notifying
Yeah,
people
you've
about the
nailed it.
question.
You nailed it.
So but we are well within our right as citizens to put together more in-depth and more detailed documentation.
Well, to actually demonstrate our
sentiments,
thought
things like that.
process and why we've recommended this.
Yep,
Right.
exactly.
So-
it's like, so the way that this document is drafted is like, you've got the question, then you have the explanatory text, so Carl is being, with his legal mind, saying,
Right.
the explanatory text has to be position neutral. But what he said in his communication to us was, we can take Mike's draft and use that as advancing, so as private citizens, advancing why we feel this way. So we're free to talk that way. So it's kind of like we're
And-
doing some of the work for the Board of Selectmen
And we are-
today.
And
That
they'll
would be,
refine it
they can
down
still
the road.
refine it. Yep.
And the wording that he hasn't had any, he accepted the wordings, the wording changes that would be in the charter
Yeah.
to affect those things. So
Yep.
he's okay with that. His only thing was highlighting in yellow what could be crossing over
Right.
into,
When, when you're posting it or
Yep.
telling
You know,
people.
and we've had this in the past when we've put together flyers for the budget, and where we argue, and we actually argue with him back and forth sometimes and say, no, we don't agree with you, and he'll actually send it off to the State Elections Commission, and they'll review it and go, yeah, it's not bad, but somebody may, and so they're always erring on the side of being conservative, and I understand that. So.
But we could use this when we have the hearing.
Yeah, I
all
really
that.
think we can. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
But as Scott says, and as Terry probably knows, as being a registrar, when you walk in to vote and that thing is up on
Right.
pasted on the door, it's got to explain it without trying to come down on one side or the other.
So in essence, Carl's putting down this just to keep everything neutral as possible.
Yeah. So I haven't, but I will at some point revisit, and any of one of you can revisit, and then we can get together and come up with what we think is the
Well,
right explanatory.
let's hit them. So let's for item 5 on the agenda. So we're at a deference to the Board of Finance, right? We're as it says here, we're gonna hold off to our June 4th meeting.
Yeah.
In the next item, we'll still talk about it, right?
Right.
Because we'll be ready to move forward if they accept the language as is.
Yeah.
So then on June 4th, we would formally vote on question 4.
Okay.
And that way, so we have 5, we have question 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, the way we've written these up. So we'll
Yep.
hold on 5.
That's fine.
Right? Everyone's good with that, right? And then we go to 6, which is the working session to review and prepare a draft of recommended charter language changes, explanatory text. So that's kind of where our conversation
Okay.
has been going. So we have 6 documents in front of us, right?
Yes, we do.
And then I'm going to pick up, Mike, where you were making comment that you're going to go back. So I'm going to let you now go on here. It's like you're going to go back and say draft up. I think the first 4, the ones with the colors. So
Right.
with the red, with the specific charter changes that are needed, the explanatory text, the yellow that has been taken out by the town attorney.
We're going to have
actually
to put
have,
something else in there
we have,
that
like,
kind of balances the discussion.
We have 3 sections.
Yeah.
We have the question and the explanatory text. Then we have our justifications for why we're proposing
What is going to
this.
change in the charter if you approve this?
Right, right.
So,
And Carl said, "Hey, what you've presented is spot on and perfect for advocacy as to why we've gotten here."
right.
So I think we need to, I think for tonight, we need to come to a consensus that we're going to further refine down the explanatory text, but then open up the reasonings as to why. So it's almost like this document becomes 3 sections: question and explanatory text, our position, which is expanded upon, and then the actual charter language changes that are needed. Right? Okay. So how about if we just go in chronological order? So number 1, the question: shall the town clerk become an appointed rather than an elected position?
Okay, this doesn't have highlights.
Carl?
We have 2
on
sets.
number 1.
We should have a Carl and a Mike. There's
Yeah,
Mike's
there's
version
There's
and
a Carl and a Mike.
Upper
package.
right-hand
I
corner.
would say ignore the Mike's package and look at the one that says Carl, which is the one with the yellow highlights.
Which I don't have one.
Oh, you don't have.
Everybody-
Oh, well, wait a minute. They got
Yep.
buried.
Yeah, upper
Sorry.
right-hand corner.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
A lot of paper.
It's a lot of stuff.
We're testing everyone out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, is this for Mike? It's like-
So, again, we have a ballot question. We have explanatory text. The question requires a yes, no. Then we have the paragraph under the explanatory text. Is everyone good with Carl's edits so that we take out the yellow section from that section? But then we
Okay.
duplicate that whole paragraph in our presentation,
Reasoning.
our reasonings.
I don't. Well, I'm biased, so because I wrote it, but I don't think all of it really advocates. I think when you're saying that the town has voted to eliminate other elected full-time positions, including the elected treasurer, the assessor, to make them appointed positions, I don't think I'm advocating. Am I?
I don't think you are
You're stating a
either.
fact.
I think you're actually
I'm
explaining things.
stating
Exactly.
history.
This is factual stuff. It's
So,
not.
and there's a sentence or two in there. Now, I think maybe Carl is in a hurry and he's highlighting everything in yellow. I don't know. I wish he was here because, but maybe the way I said this is the last remaining full-time position. Okay,
think
maybe
that
sounds
yeah.
that sounds like what's the matter with you people? You
Right.
have done
Right.
and it does not elect the fire chief and the police. Well, but that too could go. I would just say that this can be refashioned. I mean, I don't want to, and probably even add a different sentence or two in here.
So would you like to try to refashion it that,
Yeah.
and then it gets back in front of Carl with,
Yes, yes.
to report back
Yes.
on June 4th?
Yes, I will. Let me do that. Unless you, again, you could say what you want. You send me your comments.
But I
hopefully,
agree with you that you need some explanation.
I
You can't
absolutely
take-
do.
Right, you
This
can't
is
just be like-
exactly
Yeah.
the rabbit hole we fell into the last
Right.
This
election where there
is
was nothing. It was just
Right.
nothing, and
Exactly.
people are trying to.
and people
interpret
say, "What's the
different
matter
ways.
with you?" And I say, "Well, I'll tell you.
And
what's
to be
the
honest
matter."
with you, I don't think.
think if
I
you
think
read
this is the last remaining full-time position. I don't think that's misleading or anything like that. I think
No.
it's factual, and it's letting people know that it's okay.
Yeah,
this is
but the way it's written, you can reword it. This is
Yeah, I may be right. Maybe
is
if you
the
can
fact,
do that, go
as
ahead,
opposed
because I think I have
Yeah.
a bias tilted toward wanting to make it change, and therefore maybe it comes out like I'm advocating.
As a final, as like, so this is like as, or being one of the final, or I don't know,
yeah. There's
changing
a way to
the way to reword it, yeah.
Yeah.
But you just play with it.
Yeah.
So, go ahead and play with it, and we don't need to be fancy with email. You can just, I don't know if you can do it in pencil or can just, I don't know, let's get it to Karen or me somehow, some way.
Because, like, instead of the town does not elect, the town appoints fire chiefs, police chiefs, but based on their skills and experience.
Right.
Town clerk now needs, instead of putting, does not elect, you put it in a positive and you put it as a factual thing, and then you
So
can move
Terry,
forward.
do you want to?
Well,
Would you want to
semantics.
try to
Yeah,
tackle this one?
semantics.
Do you want to try to tackle this one and get some recommended changes back?
That'd be,
Okay.
I would, that'd be great because I probably wear blinders to a certain point because I've written it.
Yeah, and it is
So
all
I'm open. I'm open to any kind of suggestions. I have no pride of authorship.
Yep.
Believe me, having been an auditor earlier in my life, you don't know how many times you draft a report and it gets totally torn apart. So,
Mine got torn apart too, so I understand that.
and then when you think it's all set and you deliver it to the client, it gets even worse. So,
Okay.
All right.
So we'll look to see some suggested changes for the yellow section.
okay.
Then I think Carl was fine with anything else, in the specific charter changes.
Yeah.
And did he work with you on those?
No, I'm pretty familiar with these.
Okay.
I got them to him,
Yep.
and
Okay.
and I actually, and he was okay with it.
Okay. Perfect.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that is the paragraph where it says town clerk, and that's all that's in the charter.
Yeah,
that
I
says
know.
town
Nothing
clerk.
much.
I'm looking for another page.
So I'm saying,
Yeah,
well,
nope, that was it.
so I'll play off that language, and what I did do is try to make it a similar type of review, which is kind of done with the chief financial officer and the tax collector and the assessor.
Yep.
So you have a panel, and in this case, the logical panel would be the first selectman, the town administrator, and chief financial officer. Caveat is if the town administrator does not pass, then it doesn't you take that out of there.
Okay.
So what do you do then to be included only if ballot question 2 is approved? How do you, that footnote there?
I'm just putting it there now. That won't exist. Well, that will exist.
Yeah.
It won't be in the charter
Until
if
after.
until after it's either voted yes or no, the administrator.
Right.
And so that's the caveat.
Yeah.
You put it
I
in
mean,
if
you got
number
to
two
put
is
it
in,
in
yeah.
so that people they'll go, well, who's they going to report to? Well, we don't know until you will. No, just make an assumption that it'll be the town administrator
then
if that passes,
Okay.
and if it doesn't, take it out.
So I have a question on the adopted recommended amendment. So that is, how does that get finalized? So is it that we're putting that forward, or the Board of Selectmen
They
put that forward?
They finalize everything.
They're the ones who are supposed
They will
to.
finalize
And will they
everything.
finalize it before the vote occurs? So people, or does that
Oh, that's a
happen?
good question.
Is that like, this is the guideline? So if this passes, that the charter needs to conform to what the voters' wishes are?
Yeah, I was wondering.
I don't know. I don't know if most voters even will understand the sausage making aspect
Right.
of the charter and get down that deep into the minutia or the detail.
Did Ellington's in there?
Oh, their little
They did
blurb.
in their little flyer. They
Yeah,
did. They
they
did
did.
put in language.
Yeah,
did.
I thought they
And
did.
you know, so I don't have a problem with including that in any kind of a
Right.
Yeah.
publication.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I would include it in any publication. It's just not an explanatory text.
Right, right.
So.
You would include
So
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would include it. Sure,
Yeah.
people could see what's going. Because one of the
By
first
voting
question
this
is,
is
what
what-
do you mean you're appointed? Who's going to appoint
Right,
you? How do I
right.
know that's a good?
Right,
You know,
right.
how do I know it's not? You know,
Yeah.
well, it's here. This is what's going to. You know.
Yeah,
Yep.
So,
Okay.
agreed.
so
All right, so we're going to reword. Terry's going to take a stab at
Take a stab.
that explanatory text so that it's more, that has more information in it. And then, but
Less
we're,
leading information.
Yeah.
We'll put it that, less leading.
and we're good with the specific charter changes.
right now, when and just take 100,000-foot look at when we agree that all this is a good product for each one of these questions. I think that's what goes into your flyer that you want to send
Correct.
out.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that a trifold is not going to do it any justice, and that we're going to have to use just
We've
a
got six
full
amendments.
page.
We got six.
Open up, and then you get
things,
more.
right? Yeah.
You got more room. You got more room to say some other things, and then present the questions in their entirety. So-
Right, because they had only one. They
And
didn't
they
have
had-
as much
Right.
in
And,
there.
you know, that's fine. I think whatever vehicle works the best is fine.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. What else on question one?
I just think at the public hearing, and I think Catherine brought up before, is that we have to make sure that people know when we say appointed, it means hired,
Right.
that they go through a full process. I know
Yes,
it
they
explained
do.
a little bit,
Yes, they
but,
do.
but
And then that
people will
committee.
think
then-
appointed, yeah.
Right. Then that committee discusses those candidates and decides
Mm-hmm.
which one is the one to appoint. So,
And maybe have information about what they have to go through, what they have to be certified on, you know, all that information that Dave,
Oh, the Dave, there was a whole bunch, yeah.
yeah.
Well, there was like all those, like, I
All the
talked to
different
the
classes.
Vernon town clerk, and she said there are 500 statutes that affect her job.
there's all kinds, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
I mean,
I
that's-
really think we have to explain
Get these
that to
stuff
the
like that.
public.
When I
Yeah.
heard that,
Yeah,
it was
I
like,
mean,
wow.
I
It was
agree.
like,
Yeah.
And
wow.
Because
You know-
think about this. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Terry will understand this one. So the last Charter Revision Commission wanted to change my title, which when I was at the time I was Chief Financial Officer, and they wanted to take away the Treasurer and Director of Finance. There's 3 titles in there. Now I go by the Chief Financial Officer, but every single document you sign for a bank or any kind of loan or any kind of state aid you're the treasurer, and there's all kinds of statutes that relate to treasurer. None of them say CFO. So their recommendation was to take away the treasurer title and then call him the CFO. And I said, I'd rather be called the treasurer than the CFO. But some towns actually have a separate treasurer and a separate CFO. And so, but in this town, we joined them together. So it's like, just leave it. Please, just don't mess around with it. Just leave it. So those are the kind of things that the selectman has a whole bunch of language associated with selectmen.
It might help to give examples of some of the obscure things that Dave has to know. People are like, well, I wouldn't think that they would have to know. You know, like a couple examples of what the town clerk would have to know. That kind of might blow someone else's mind, you know, or
Right.
you know,
And
not the common things,
Yeah.
but something else,
Right.
you know, that they have to know by state statute.
And I think what John said, I mean, maybe something along the lines of, I'm just going to make sure that's accurate, but it's
Yeah, I can
500.
talk to her again. But she had like right in the tip of her.
If that's accurate, I think that should be portrayed because we got a taste of
That's a
what
lot.
the folks were coming into the town in our initial meeting,
right.
and the
Not understanding
ensuing
how big
response
the-
was, "Well, this is the way it's always been. Nothing's really changed." Well, no, in fact, everything has changed significantly.
Yeah.
Well, we
And
were ill
told them.
prepared.
Well, we were, and we were
ill
told
prepared.
actually not. You know, we were saying we could. We just had to sit there and
Listen.
listen.
I feel like we're better.
Yeah, and I think we're better prepared, and I also believe that, you know, we have all this information under our belts, and we should be able to a lot of information to get out and speak to folks. I mean, that's really what in my mind, that's what the second meeting's all about.
Yep. Okay. Anything else on one?
No.
We're good?
We were fine,
Okay.
Very
Yeah. All right, number 2, which is the town administrator one. So yeah, there's a lot of yellow.
There is a lot of yellow there, and I will concede that some of that yellow is warranted.
Yeah.
Especially when you get down into the goal of the new administrator is to ensure. I mean, that's been.
Right.
I'm saying that.
Yeah.
That I agree with that. I don't agree that when I'm talking or when we're talking about people confuse the roles of town managers and town administrators, how that's advocacy is trying to clarify the difference between the two roles because people in this town don't seem to have the understanding or the appreciation of the difference of those two. And so I thought doing that, but I mean, you know, if he's being Carl really stands up against that, then I would say, okay, we'll come up with someone else. But and then for years, the town meeting, that's that's not necessary either, I suppose. But you guys can read it and tell me what you think.
Is there someone that wants to take a stab at this one?
You know, if you take something out, try to put something in.
Right.
It's like,
Well, not necessarily either. Sometimes you want it a little more concise because nobody's going to read
yeah,
that much.
I mean,
either.
that could
So
be
you
too.
need to
Yeah,
have.
that could be too long. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
So,
I think if you say, I don't read the whole thing. No. I am like, no. But like when you say, however, this process could be challenging, it's having that one sentence in there, right? That's going to be the people who go, oh, why change it? If this could be challenging, they're going to stop reading right there.
Yeah.
The people who are, it's what I'm saying. I mean, I know what you're saying, but the people who came to that meeting who don't like change, you put that, however, this process can be challenging, that they're going to stop reading right
That's
there.
no reason to change.
Yeah, why should you change it now? It's going to be challenging, you know? They're not going to read on, so.
So I'm kind of jumping forward a little where kind of just laying this out there. So my thought for the public hearing is that we're all participating and presenting, or at least this is what I'd like to happen. And so we pick a question that everyone's worked on a specific question, or is closest to that one. So you would be the presenter of that question at the public hearing. So that, so I'm the chair and I'm doing the introductions, kind of laying out the groundwork, the framework, but, I think Terry's number one. Like, so she could present one. So if you're working on redrafting the explanatory text, you're kind of taking on, it's the one that you're owning, you know, through the public hearing process. You'd be ideal for the planning and zoning.
Right.
Mike, you would be ideal for the
Financial
financial one. So it's like, so is there, so between the two of you and Ed, and hey,
2, 3.
you know, the person who's absent still can get,
I'm doing the civil,
Yeah, that would be
I'm doing the
great.
civil preparedness.
No, that one.
but Tom,
Catherine and Tom
you know,
think it would
and
be great.
I'm kind of looking at Tom because you're the one who nominated me for chairman. Of
Yeah,
this, right?
I want to be chairman now, because I'm just
Don't
going to say
forget.
hello.
But you brought in Matt from Ellington.
Right.
I did.
I got to tell you something. That was that was our best.
So is there a way,
Presentation.
you know, within the next couple of days that you take a look at this and maybe you have a conversation with Matt or whatever, and you
And most of what is here, Tom, is from Mr. Ellington. I took it from
Yep.
what he gave us.
Yep.
Right.
And I tried to mirror it as closely as possible. And then I did take out things in our charter that would not mesh with a town administrator.
Me personally, I think that everybody in this town is going to see similarities with Ellington. It's our neighbor, looks like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is probably going to be the most lightning. This is going to be the one that sparks the most controversy. I'm pretty certain of that. I'll take it on.
But again, you're taking a
I've done that my
paragraph.
entire life. I'm not going to.
You're taking a paragraph on the explanatory text.
You know what?
I think if you couched it in the sense of, you know, growth.
Oh yeah, responsible growth, and this is going to be.
So, like, if you look at when the town charter was, you know, written,
Right.
where we were and where we are, because the good sense I got out of Ellington was, like, we're growing, and I think these are growing pains.
Well, I do believe in this, so I'm
I
fine,
believe it.
and so
I
I'm
believe it
fine
too.
with that. And so the only thing I will say is, when are we looking? Because I'm leaving tomorrow for the next week. I'm gone. I'm out of state for vacation. So that's the only thing I'm asking when we need this. And I don't intend to do it on my vacation. I'm going to be working my real estate stuff on vacation.
Yeah, when are you back?
Late Wednesday evening.
So you're not here for the June 4th meeting.
No, I will be here because I'm
But he
coming
won't
back
have
on
any
the
time to-
20.
Right.
That's the only reservation, so I'm good.
No, so
Well,
once you're
wait.
back
As long as
on
I get this
vacation-
done before, I have to get this submitted to everyone prior to...
Before June
I come the
4th.
28th. Okay.
Before June 4th,
Okay.
right? Because we have our next meeting would be June 4th that we'd want to
And that's the-
finalize this, and then the public
Public
hearing is
hearing's
on
on
the
the
11th.
11th. Okay.
I honestly don't think it's going to be heavy lifting. I think it's like making it yours. You know, like
Yeah,
Just
you know what I'm going to do
making
too on this? I
yours.
think I'm probably going to reach out to Matt and talk to Matt about this
Yeah.
and say,
Yeah,
listen,
do
what
it
are your
for you.
thoughts? And then kind of incorporate what he says, maybe perhaps what I'm saying, and hopefully comes up with something that's
Somebody's
going
on the
to
board.
be a
Yes.
viable answer.
Yeah.
he was great.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, we'll have to see if someone's good at PowerPoint too. I'm not.
I'm definitely not. I'm a chimp. So, so
But
I
that,
use
that will
Mike, I'm going to say
Mike,
Mike's probably pretty good with PowerPoint.
but that will be.
Mike, are you good with that?
Well, Mike's good at it.
PowerPoint?
His
Yep.
computer probably works better
Yeah.
than mine, though.
Well, maybe
You need something done,
so,
just let
so
me
that
know.
we can
Okay.
focus on the
Content,
subject.
yeah.
Right. So
rather than
after June 4th, then we
audiovisual,
can
you know.
we can work between the 4th and the 11th on generating the PowerPoint.
So timeline we're looking at is obviously before the 4th, or on the 4th, to get this into so everyone can review it and
Yeah.
make a determination if it's
Yeah. So
acceptable
you
or
said
not.
you're back the 28th.
the 28th.
So
Unless
if,
she throws me out of the plane.
if we could have something back by June 2nd,
Yeah.
Monday, June 2nd,
Yeah.
which
You
is
work on
a
it
couple
tonight?
days before the meeting. Yeah.
No packing tonight. Have some work up.
Gonna send Vicki this file, and I'm gonna say slip it in your in your luggage.
Yeah.
You know, instead of taking that nap, right? All right, Tom, this is yours.
Okay.
Okay. And again, we're good with all the actual charter language over the 2 pages. So it's focusing on that top paragraph. Okay. Anyone else on 2? All right. Guess what, John? You're 3.
Yeah, so actually, so I got here like a few minutes early, and I already started.
Okay. Oh, this is yours.
Working.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
nothing. So what I did is I put an asterisk right after the second sentence where there's 3 dots, and then I was going to add what's in handwritten after that, and it doesn't materially change it, but I think it. So my sense from like even the night that we had the zoning enforcement officer here, and I kind of wrote something. It kind of helped me to organize my thoughts, and so I'll just go through it. I was just going to say, both commissions deal with land use issues. I'm going to keep it simple. The powers and duties of both commissions are prescribed by state statute, so it's not like really nothing. There's really no power to change what they do.
Right.
The commissions require 5 members serving 4-year terms and 3 alternates serving 1-year terms. And then I just was going to add, and I don't think this is advocating, but requiring every land use proposal to make presentations before 2 different commissions that meet on different schedules has in several instances resulted in duplication, inefficiency, confusion, and frustration regarding land use proposals in the town of Somerville. I mean, it's not
That's right.
over the top, and I could certainly expand upon that, but I just thought, because when you explain what we do here to others, they go like, because I'll tell you from my own personal experience, I go to the planning commission, I've had many times, and I try to sell something, and then we make the exact same proposal in front of zoning. Well, we start with zoning usually, and they refer it to planning, and so they don't have any of the. They're cold, and then I just tell you what happens. 2 commissions never talk to each other.
Yeah.
There's almost like territorial, like we're the planning commission.
Definitely.
We plan.
Definitely.
Right, and so you're like, and then the zoning commission, this is the weirdest thing, does not have to accept the recommendation of the planning commission, even when they make it.
The planning commission doesn't have any teeth, really.
The planning commission is
Exactly.
No,
So
it's a very.
it's almost like a ceremonial type.
Yeah,
It's
you're
almost
right.
like a
That's-
ceremonial
yeah,
thing.
right.
It's exactly, I think they're ceremonial. So they say something, and then when they write a reference back to the zoning commission, and the zoning commission many times ignores it, which is probably why there's a little rift between. I mean, I've seen situations where the 2 boards sued each other, and we paid, as a town, to have one board represented by town attorney A and one by town attorney B,
Right.
and I thought, what a tremendous waste of tax dollars. The combination of them is such a good fit. That's why 85% do it.
Could you use that as an example when you
Yeah,
give your
as an example,
presentation?
yeah.
Honestly, I could go on for an hour.
But like if you use that example of the suing and the town money,
Right,
like
right.
Because I,
Yeah.
it's like was in Simsbury doing one of these at our last meeting.
Yep.
And, combined planning and zoning,
Yep.
completely predictable, because you got a piece of land. How is it zoned? Okay, what's your plan? It makes sense to talk about it all at the same time. You're looking at the map. So zoning people know how to read maps. Planning people don't. They don't have to because, or vice versa.
That's right.
Planning people know how to read them. Zoning people don't.
Right.
And
I would use some personal experience, as not in here, but like when you're
Right.
giving your
In the front.
presentation.
I think experiences from other towns will be less because like I've been the spearhead in a lot of things in Summers, and there's blowback from that. So I'm just going to stay away from Summers
Yeah.
because you don't really need to.
Right, yeah, but use the other places, yeah.
Right.
Just to reiterate, so what we're doing here is just for the public hearing aspect of it, correct?
Well, we're
Well, no, I'm
But
saying, no.
His
But what we're
language,
talking about
will
is
probably
one-
work as explanatory.
So it's redrafting the explanatory text
Right.
based on Carl's recommendations of what needs to either come out or change. Right? But then it's also thinking about what is our presentation,
Right.
which is
Right.
more expansive than the explanatory text. These are our reasonings why we feel this way.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on question 3?
Well, yeah, he's highlighted that. I see nothing wrong with saying that 85% of the cities and towns in Connecticut
I like
have a
that.
combined planning and zoning commission.
Oh,
And I'll say
factual.
period, without saying why, or maybe he thinks that is advocating.
maybe that was leading. Yeah,
Yeah,
support
right.
4%.
But if I just say a statement of fact,
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
problem with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so get rid of the end of
Yeah,
that
it would be a
sentence.
period.
The next one.
Right after
Planning,
zoning
zoning.
commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's leaning any other way except
like that.
providing factual information. That's all it really
Because
is.
you're in the minority
Right.
by a long stretch, and,
Right, so
and that
you can draw-
85 might even be a little higher now because
Exactly.
I don't know when that was, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah, that's my only other comment. Yeah.
Okay.
and then to speed up. Here's what I think: to make it like if you do a job, you always do step A before you do step B before. Just transactionally, that makes sense. To grab it out and then shift it over here with no transactional connection.
Right. That doesn't make
Streamline,
sense.
you got the word
Really?
streamline.
Yeah.
Streamline the process. Streamline's the word you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely streamline it, and then you don't get that rub between. Yeah, I like that word, streamline.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good one.
Using that.
And then you combine that with the economy of 5 full-time members to serve on one, 5 the other,
Yeah, there's 10
3
people,
alternates.
yeah.
Yeah, there's 16 by the time you add it up.
That's true. With the alternate.
All knowing about land, it's not realistic. All right, yeah, this one, happy to.
That's your baby.
Yeah.
Okay. We're good on 3? Right? Okay, number 4, pending Board of Finance approval. Recommendations. Do we hold off on this? Based on what their
Sure.
their feedback is?
Sure. And I just don't agree with a lot of his yellow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain it so that people can understand it. For example, I don't know how that's advocating one way or another. That's showing what the computation would be. So I'll pay the fine if there is one. on
Yeah,
it.
no, I agree with you. That yellowing at that last one, I could see the one before that because
Yeah.
you're kind of leading
Yeah,
them to
I would.
say.
Yeah, I'm.
But
I'm not going
that
to
one
say
is an example, and I didn't.
Right.
It's a fact.
Right. Again.
Again, I just look at it like this. If it's factual information, I don't know how you can get jammed up on any of this stuff. Fined, I guess. for any
Well,
of this stuff.
maybe
It's
you
not-
just say, instead of for example, right?
The amount of the threshold would be indexed to the amount of the budget, and then if the budget is
In the most recent adopted budget.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
change
most
that.
recent adopted budget is 42 million.
It is.
The
The upper limit.
the limit would be 84,000. The upper limit would be 84,000 with the parentheses 42 million times 22%. But then, period, right?
Right.
And then I like the amount of the threshold would be indexed to the amount of,
That's where I would put that sentence first
yeah.
before
Yep.
the
You would,
example.
okay,
Yeah, I would
alright.
put that first, and then you're giving an example of how this is the current budget. This
Right.
is what it looks like.
Indexing,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
indexing is
I mean,
important. so,
okay, that's good.
yeah.
I could see where we don't really need to say what we felt, and we think that amount is too low or whatever.
Right. That's
I could eliminate
That's
that.
assumed, I mean, all of that already is assumed. If you're proposing the question or the change,
You know what's weird is, what can you do for 20 grand?
yeah, not much.
Yeah, it's
anymore.
like-
You can call a town meeting. I mean, and it's so ridiculous because the 20 grand that happens all the time. And so you have to schedule a town meeting, you have to advertise the town meeting, you have to hold the town meeting, and 9 times out of 10, no more than 2 or 3 people show up.
But the percentage keeps it
It's more relevant. The number
relevant,
is more
right?
relevant.
That's a good word.
And I wonder if you just put using such an account would allow the upper limit. I would cross out some of it and just put like, formula rather than a specific dollar amount, comma, the upper limit amount will self-adjust and stay in line with increased cost. I would
Yeah,
think
like
that,
inflation.
Yes.
Right? So everything's more expensive. 20 grand stays at 20 grand. Well,
again, if any of you have suggestions to help
Yeah, send
an
them.
author,
Yep.
send them, fire them away, right? So,
Yep.
okay.
And Carl, when you get down into the specific charter language, he was saying he didn't understand what is it a general fund, what is a special fund, what is a reserve fund, and it's explained here. It's the unassigned general fund surplus balance is what it is. And then those are amounts that are available for any purpose. They're reported only in the general fund and are not otherwise restricted, committed, or assigned. Now, people not accountants don't understand that, but that means that they're free to be appropriated for other uses.
Here's the thing. You got credibility
Yeah.
from your background on
Yep.
that.
Yep. And, I'm sure, I'm not sure, but maybe I'm expecting somebody in the Board of Finance will probably tweak something here. So
Yep.
we'll see.
Everyone good with that, with number 4? All right, so we've got,
Who are you assigning that
that's Mike.
to?
So we got Terry, we got Tom, we got John, we got Mike. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right?
Yep.
All right. Number 5
Yeah.
is the midterm.
Not that one. I know
the
this one.
midterm vacancy one. So
Just to be Ed.
I
He's on the
took
board
a
already.
quick stab last night, following Mike's lead and his documents with the way the
Yeah.
document looks like. And I can start working on the specific charter
Oh,
changes
so that's not
needed.
in this because that wasn't.
It's separate.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
yes,
came out
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
So I can start
All right. Okay,
start
I got it.
working on the second part of it, but what you got here is all you could get out of me last night.
That's a good amount.
It's about 10 o'clock when I finished. When I emailed it to you, I all said, "Good evening." You notice the timestamp at the top.
I was wondering. Like,
But
Yeah.
actually,
Well, I was procrastinating.
I
and
played
putting
with
it
the
off until.
language a little bit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I played with the language a little bit.
On number
And-
5.
And,
Yep.
actually, I was going to find it now. Because I got here a little bit early. I was like
Yeah.
playing with the language of 3, and then I played with the language of those 2. But I got to just find what I did with
Keeping in mind that the explanatory text has been approved by Carl, so.
it. Okay. No.
No, he did. He said it's fine. So, but if we add something, it will go back to him for review.
This right here is your explanatory text.
Yes.
I didn't recognize it without the yellow.
So I'll go get a yellow marker.
Anyone got a yellow highlighter? No, he did respond. I think he did. Did
Yeah,
he
he
respond
did.
back to everybody? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can't find it right off. I don't know the whole thing's up, but
You need 5 and 6?
no, I have them.
Oh,
But I had
He had started writing something.
writing
Oh,
stuff,
okay.
and then I think I just nervously tucked it in my file.
We've all done that today.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's-
yeah. So like with number 6
Okay.
at the end, which would put the language of the charter in harmony with the language of. Remember when it was being explained to us, it
Yeah.
it was to. I mean, so
Yeah.
you get here, but then the
Right.
the reason for it is to get.
So read
that-
off what you wrote there.
You can read it now.
Read your own writing.
Which would put the language of the charter in harmony with, and I have a blank because I can't remember,
What he said, yeah.
was it a state statute, was it a regulation? But I remember him saying all the places that our charter looks like a dinosaur because 20 years ago they changed the statute to say "sir" and
No, civil preparedness instead of emergency.
yeah. Well, but he when he
Instead of civil.
told it to us, he
CERT wasn't even formed then. That was
Right,
only
but he-
formed in,
if I'm saying like, why are you proposing this charter? It's I know you said modernize, but it's to harmonize it as well.
Yeah.
I think the one issue I have with this is I went to the state statute, and I know it's not going to matter to you. It's CGS 28-7, and it's called Civil Preparedness Emergency Management. And so the word civil is used throughout the state statute, and we're saying we want to take it out of here.
What did he say? then?
He didn't see. He's using. He is.
Oh, it was Todd, right?
Yeah,
it was
he is calling it emergency preparedness, and in the statute it's called emergency management, and it is called civil preparedness. And so he's trying to change something that's harmonized already, civil preparedness, with the state statute. So I mean,
We harmonize. It should be good.
I'm not so sure that needs to be changed. I think maybe some of the. I don't have a problem with him updating to the Director of Public Works. I didn't pay that much attention to this change. I mean, I wasn't here for that meeting, and but today I started looking at it.
Advisory Council, though, I think.
He made it sound like our language in our the way Todd made it sound was like the language in our charter was like almost like a joke compared to what is these days. But
I don't know about a
I
joke.
think
not a
Yeah.
joke,
I
that's the
think
wrong
It
word.
was conflicting, I think, with some of the
It was not in harmony. That's a better.
Well, with federal, it's emergency preparedness.
Up to the word, right.
Yeah, federal, it's emergency preparedness, not civil preparedness any longer. And that's what they go through mostly is the federal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a charter town, you can change that language if you want, but it's kind of like, I agree with what John is talking about in terms of harmonizing it with existing state statutes. There's all kinds of statutes that relate to civil preparedness / emergency management.
Language update regarding civil preparedness. Yeah, so he got in his emails to us.
Right.
And there's
It
only,
doesn't go in depth, but it was probably when he was here to talk.
It was,
Yeah.
that's the gist I got out of it.
Yeah.
and when you
probably
read what's in the charter, I mean, it's just only a sentence or two. There's not more than one reference to the Director of Public, to Superintendent of Highways. It's just one reference,
Are you saying-
not all
Are
references.
you saying delete this whole thing or just?
I said that last time, and nobody agreed with me.
Yeah, he said it the
I
last
said
time.
it the last time, and I got outvoted that you
Yes.
did the
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
But I say we revisit this with Todd and see,
How important.
really hammer it out with him as to
The sense I got is they were missing out on stuff because we were calling it the wrong time.
I don't think so. I
No,
think
I
it's
don't,
just a,
I
No,
don't think
I
we
just-
were missing out on
it's almost
anything.
like it's a feel-good change, just to try to.
Well, it's
and-
to go more with FEMA and all the regulations in regards to that. That's really, I'm
Right.
a part of CERT, so I understand why he was saying that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Uh-oh, be careful, you're gonna...
Well,
It made me disintegrate.
Could it be, would you put the language of the charter in harmony with federal
Yeah, maybe it's federal, but it just...
federal references?
Yeah.
Something needed
Yeah.
to connect it, I thought.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what, and I just got a gist, but I didn't know that part.
I can ask Todd for more specifics. But
And he had already written up the specific charter changes
Yeah,
needed,
right.
so
Yeah.
that's already. I would just do a copy paste over.
He's really a reasonable person, and if you sit down and talk to him about some of this, he wouldn't have any problems changing things if they need to be changed. All I'm saying is that I don't see the consistency between this and the statute. And if he can prove it to me that it's fine, then
I don't think he was going after the statute. I think he was current, working...
This is what we call it now. This is what we want to put it in here as.
And working with FEMA and all our emergency preparedness stuff. It is all, it's not civil preparedness anymore, it's emergency preparedness.
Okay.
Can you come to our next meeting, or you just ask
Yeah,
him?
I'll just ask him for more of an explanation.
And you're on CERT, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm missing a meeting tonight for this.
Is there? So, Catherine,
Yeah, once
did you want to present this one?
I can present it once I find out
Okay.
why. What it is. I thought I knew what it was, but now I'm walking.
Okay.
Just give me what.
Yep. Well,
What I
and
need to
we're going to give Ed number 5 because he's an elected official.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he probably doesn't know.
Do I have to write the charter changes, or I just copy?
No,
okay.
we have the charter changes
Okay.
already from Todd.
Okay.
So
I wouldn't email.
And there's no
Yep.
yellow on this either, so Carl saw this.
Carl saw that, responded back, and
Okay.
said no changes were needed.
I said the
But
final.
we're gonna add. You know what?
I think
Add
it needs, just, I
Yeah,
just
a
felt like
closing.
yes.
A
there was
closing.
something, missing at the end.
Yep.
I honestly think the question is too long. If we could try to
Okay.
trim that down somehow, some way.
Yeah, it is a long question for somebody to read in a ballot. Yeah, you get that right.
You don't really.
Just to
Terry, do
update.
you have to say? Do we have to say specifically the things we want to change, or just say that we want to change some of the things in that section 518, and then explain it below in the explanatory
I
text?
thought we had voted. Maybe I'm wrong. Just to modernize the language. I
Right.
thought we had. Do we have to explain how we're modernizing the language?
Well, that would be
Well,
the
the
explanatory
text, the
text.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the
So you-
question.
I think would be just to modernize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
think
ballot
that's
question to
legitimate.
modernize.
Shall the language of section 518 be modernized
reflect
and
the current
update
practice.
certain references or something to
Yeah.
that effect?
Okay.
And then below,
Yeah.
in the explanatory text,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
explain what
That
that
is a
is.
long one.
Yeah.
Right.
So to reflect current practices, current.
I'll ask Todd for the right word.
So
Well,
modernize.
practices would be the CERT team and the changes in titles.
Yeah. Okay. I'm crossing out. Current functions, current members, and current roles.
Yeah.
Like titles, is it like,
I think roles would be probably the roles and title. Current roles and
Modernize the language. the titles and roles
To
or
be
duties.
modernized to reflect current roles and responsibilities and functions and
But we're not really changing their
Members.
functions or responsibilities. We're just changing the names, right?
Yeah, I just thought it was like a label.
Well, and
Easy.
adding CERT, because
Or adding
CERT was
CERT.
not in there before.
Okay.
Oh, my presentation has got longer.
You're not changing any functions. You're just
Right.
changing names.
Names, right? Well,
current participants.
current.
Modernized to reflect current. What's a word for
Is it
Well, it is
regulations?
current language though too, because it's emergency versus civil.
Language.
So
current language and roles? Okay.
How about accepted? You know, like in that field, it's language that's accepted, right, by
Federal statutes or reflective of, reflective of federal statutes. This language is
I don't think it's federal statute. It's that federal.
guidelines.
Let me ask Todd
Yeah.
instead of us trying.
Right.
Let me
Yeah.
ask Todd.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's 6. And then back on 5, any,
to me that was the simplest one to understand.
Now it's the hardest. I just have to make a little slide with some bullet points on it, right? That's it. That's easy.
okay, Ed's, so you're, Catherine, you're doing 6, and Ed, we're going to ask Ed to do number 5. Okay. Any changes to 5? I'll work on the charter changes. I'm not going away on vacation, so I can do it this weekend.
You have a birthday to celebrate. A big one.
It's going to be bad weather anyway, right? So.
Tomorrow's going to be awful. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Good. All right. So we've got our homework for 1 through 6. That's then the review and prepare draft a presentation for the public hearing. So that's it's kind of like we talked about. Everyone's going to take the question. We'll come back at the next meeting with a revised document plus the
I'll try to put together a backbone
Yep.
of a presentation,
Yep.
which is kind of somewhat reflective of our initial public hearing, where we introduce ourselves again, and I'll get something off to you, and some of this will be able to fit into that. We'll be
Yep.
able to plug and play it in.
Yep.
The one thing we don't have in here, which Terry said we better make sure we put in, is recommend to the Board of Selectmen to adopt an ordinance changing the term of office of the registrar of voters to 4 years from 2 years.
yes.
And we should say that's what we're going to do. We're recommending that it be an ordinance.
Right. Right.
So how do we come up with something like
In
this?
our report.
Yeah,
in our
I think
report.
just in a report.
You write a
Yeah.
report
Yeah.
to the selectmen. And
You don't change the charter for that, right?
It's an
No, you
ordinance.
make an ordinance. We're telling
Yeah.
them to make an ordinance.
Right.
Oh,
So that was at the last meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So we
Which again would be incumbent upon the Board of Selectmen.
Right. But that we
The registrar is not even in the charter.
it's an
Because
ordinance.
it's a recent phenomenon. It's the Secretary of State, right? You report to. So many towns have made ordinances, and the Secretary of State says it's a 2-year term, unless you're a charter town and you want to make it a 4-year term. And that's what we want to do. You do it by ordinance.
Yeah.
So
Because most towns have made it 4 years.
Yep.
So you're going to put together the backbone of the PowerPoint, or I have to make my own slides? Like I can do my own.
I have for a presentation. Yeah, it's just a PowerPoint, and it's not none of this. It'll just say first question, and
Oh,
then
then we could just talk off the cuff. Then we don't have to have. Or
Well,
do
I
you want
think you
bullets?
should put some points
Yeah,
up
so-
there.
yeah, I
Yeah.
put down.
Yeah.
I could put down pros and cons in there that people can look at while you're talking about what we're saying. I mean,
Yeah, no, I was thinking, if I do it on my computer and then I send it, it's not going to look like we're going to have all different looking.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Make it all look the same. That's what. Yeah.
So can we, so if people come up with their own slide, they can send it to you and you can incorporate it
I
in
could do that.
for font.
That way you don't have to do all the work. We can do our work and then give it.
Since we're
It's fine. I'm here all day long, so
Yeah,
for a couple
Or
more
if you
months.
want.
yeah, okay.
Or send me your slide, like the blank, and I can work on it.
Yeah,
On my
and send it
slide.
back to you.
Yeah. Does that make sense? That way we all look the same.
Oh,
Or whatever you want to do.
all right.
Whichever.
We'll see if it works. Well, our email has been.
Yeah, I can't send
No.
anything to them.
You can send me what Todd says
Even-
to you. You can
even
send to me.
on
This
your-
this
Your
last.
Cox one?
Yeah, I've been using my Cox one. They've been getting it, but now this last I didn't get the minutes. Dave Marty and
Yeah.
anybody here in town hall didn't get the minutes, even using the Cox one. So I don't know. I'm getting banned.
I know, so you're being omitted.
I got them. I'm like, God, Terry's on her game. Look at this. They're here. Okay. All right. And then item 8, efforts to publicize the public hearing. So I think,
The banner.
right. So, and Karen, I don't know if this is, we ask you to have this done, but, we had the
board out
board
there.
out here.
We can ask the fire department
The
to put it
fire
on
department.
their thing because people seem to read that thing. It's in color.
Yeah.
And then the
The banner on top of the
website.
website.
And the,
We have
and an
that.
alert.
We have that
The,
alert, the alert system there. That,
Yeah. The email and the text. So like,
and
yeah,
then you have to put a thing in the paper, right? The public hearing announcement.
yeah,
Do a public.
So there'll be a.
So what's the date of the public hearing?
the 11th. So what we did at the last meeting is we had June 4th as a meeting, right?
Right.
So we added the public hearing of the 11th, and we added one more meeting on the 18th. So we're going to meet 3 Wednesdays in a row.
June 18th.
4th, 11th, 18th. 4th and 18th at 6 here. 11 is the public hearing at 7 downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and that just to publicize. We got people that came out the last time, so we might as well.
Yeah, well, whatever you did last time seemed to work.
Yep.
It was a full
Yep.
compliment.
Yesterday for voting, and I'm glad they put it out because
How'd that
it
go?
reminded me.
That's the budget passed all-time high.
12%.
Over 800 people.
12%.
Here at 4:30.
It's
the
an
line's
all-time
out.
high for budget referendum. Last year was only a couple hundred people.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
We have to have that draft report to the Board of Selectmen by the 18th.
Correct.
Yeah, we can request an extension in writing if you want, saying that we'll be working on we're waiting for the public hearing, we'll be writing our report on the 18th or our draft, and we'll have it to you within, can we have a week or 2-week extension or something like that? I don't know why you can't do that. Their timeline is August sometime, they have to get this stuff. So they would have to have a meeting. They themselves would have to decide what they want to move forward with.
Are we going to have to meet with them?
No.
I don't know if we have to
Well,
meet with
usually
them.
I just asking. I
The
don't know.
chair
The chair would
to
probably
answer
meet
any
with
question.
I would think it would be. We should all be there if we can, if there's not a conflict. But
Well,
right,
all right, so we could hold a meeting and invite them to the meeting, but we would have to let them review the draft, I would think, ahead of time.
so if we have our meeting on the 18th, so we have the public hearing. We work between the public hearing and the 18th to do any fine tuning. Then we have everything together.
So the time is on
All
purpose.
right, so from the 11th to the 18th, and they're giving that little window of opportunity to work.
You know,
with
it's
things.
only going to be like a 2-page report or a 3-page
Correct.
report. It's going to be.
Well, I think
It'll
it's
take just the pieces.
it's
gonna be
taking
nice.
it's a cover letter. Then it's taking all of these.
Yeah, you can do it that way.
Right?
Why not?
You could do
That's,
that.
that's what
Yeah.
it was the last time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You could do that.
There was a reasoning portion too, not just an It was just,
Well,
there was a reasoning.
The reasoning is this larger piece here, right? So when you're redrafting, you're looking at the explanatory text, but you could also come up with some reasoning, like an expanded reasoning that you're using in your presentation at the public hearing.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So do you think, based on your experience, do you think we need to request an extension, or do we go through to the...
I think you have time to make that decision.
Okay.
I think we'll see what the public hearing brings. And then if at the next meeting after that, is what the 8th, that is
Would
the
be
8th.
the
18th.
Well, we're not going to have, we won't have something for them on the 18th. I doubt it,
They're meeting on the 18th.
because we're meeting.
And they're meeting on the 18th.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Because
Is it-
Juneteenth is a holiday,
Okay.
so they're meeting on the 18th.
Okay.
So then they do.
Maybe if we just, do you draft it, or do you draft, he would draft it? Just ask for the end of the month or something. Or what are
Because they then don't meet until the 17th of July because of 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
Who's
Well,
looking at the schedule.
I mean, that's their problem or issue. Whatever, they can
Yeah.
have a special meeting
Right,
if they
they can
need
call a
to,
special-
to meet sooner.
And requesting an extension, is that a simple email to the,
Yeah,
to
it's
the
a simple
board?
email. Yeah.
So do you want me to, if we all agree, should I send an email requesting an extension to the...
Tim,
Well, we could
and
meet.
send it. We can send it to the three of them if you want, and put all our names on it as a.
Terry, don't you think that that this should be a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen? I mean, because I've been to those meetings where
Yeah,
who knows what else they got on there.
right.
You're kind of relegated to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if
but
they
they'll
could-
make that, we'll give them the
Again, it's their
report,
call.
then they're gonna make,
Yeah.
they're
I think-
gonna set
yeah,
the-
they-
an agenda.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But do you think we should meet after the public hearing
That night?
that night? Because then it's fresh in your head,
Good.
and then get it.
Well, how long did the public hearing last? Was it
Last
that long?
time wasn't that long.
About an hour, I think it
Yeah.
was, wasn't it?
This one might go
It's probably
longer,
going to
though.
last an
Think
hour.
Frank's coming?
Yeah.
This one might go longer.
Yeah.
Well, then, so if we want to meet on the 11th after the public hearing, which would,
We're here
Mean
at 10
that-
o'clock at night.
But we've made that public hearing at 7 and not 6. So now you're talking we're going to start
That's
meeting
right.
at 8.
Right.
Oh, no, yeah.
And that'll go to 9 or
9,
10
9:30,
or whatever.
yeah, and I actually bug out of town on the 12th.
But I guess if we hear and we've each taken our piece and we hear the input, we can work on it till the next meeting. So then the next meeting should be fine. So do we need an extension?
Okay.
Just thinking.
Sure, call.
We want it
You're
done.
Chairman. If
Yeah,
you're feeling
no,
queasy about it.
No, I'm not
then,
feeling
you
queasy
know,
about
Yeah.
it. Because
Call that- I think you're going to make the call after the public hearing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
We
right.
can-
Well, let me ask you this.
Right, right.
So the public hearing, what are we going to work on? We actually provide what we think is necessary.
Yeah, this is what
And
we're gonna tell-
And this, exactly. So what are we going to work on thereafter? I mean, we're going to try to change things because of public.
No,
consent?
we're not.
Well,
We're not going to change
Yeah.
I
anything.
think it's going to
Right.
be more of the same. I
Yeah.
think you're going to see a lot of what we saw.
Yeah,
so there may
before.
not
Oh,
be
I
changes,
agree.
yeah.
I agree.
With now,
Well, we can come up with a
the
draft
difference
report
with
right
now,
now.
we at least
Right.
can talk
Right.
about
Because
stuff
it's a
that we
draft.
know.
Right, right. So, I mean, the meeting may not, if we meet after that, it's just a matter of formality, I guess, and saying, okay, heard what was,
which would be the meeting on the 18th.
Same time.
You know, unless something,
then do we even have to meet on after the
You can
11th?
draft the report right after that.
I personally think you do the public hearing, you come back on the 18th, and we use
Yep.
the time
Agreed.
between the 11th and the 18th
To-
to
everybody
pull
work
it all
on their own.
together,
Yep.
and then we're doing a final vote. This is our report,
Yep, agreed.
and it's a cover letter, it's each question, it's the question, the explanatory text, and the reasonings. and the draft and the charter draft changes and the reasonings.
Because once you
And
get
it's
into July, we're
six
gonna be-
sections.
Everybody's going to be going on vacation.
Plus the addition of that the Board of Selectmen should take up the question on
The ordinance.
4-year terms, and that's it. That's and I mean, if we have a draft and we approve it and we don't make any changes, and Tim's here, we can turn it over to him, and we met the 18th deadline,
Right.
right?
Sounds good.
All right.
Plan.
Commission member comments. Besides, I'm tired and I want to go home. Anything else?
I wish the email would work.
I do too. That was disappointing to hear when I walked in. She said I
Now,
didn't get the
did
email.
you get my emails with the?
I get your emails.
Okay, with the agenda and things
just
like that.
me.
So it's only okay.
Well,
What
and John and me.
But what I
We're
could
the
do
two.
is, if you send the minutes to me,
Yes, just
then
forward.
I can forward it out to the whole group.
Okay.
If we want to,
Yeah, try
just
to
as a
circumvent.
double,
And I do it to Dave Marty at the same time.
Yep.
So he didn't get it this time either. So
Okay.
if you can just add Dave Marty
Yep.
to it.
Yep.
So,
Thank
okay.
you.
So
Okay, so
if
we're
I
gonna
put
take-
together something, I'll send it to you, and you look at it, and you decide what you want to do. You can send it out to,
Yeah.
to
Yep.
everybody. All right. That works.
Yeah, because it seems to be some kind of
block.
block that
Got a lot
Yeah,
of handoffs here. It's like
Yeah.
running a relay.
No,
Something's going to get lost.
It's
No,
odd.
me
It's
too.
like
Yeah.
they just happen out there. It's like I cannot send a personal email from my personal web email address to my work. Sometimes I like to see things,
Both
go
places,
both
yeah.
personal and work. So I'll reply all, and it just never shows up in my work email for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But other people,
Doesn't matter.
no problem. So it's odd, but okay.
There's gremlins out there.
Technology. All right. Then no commission member comments. So motion to adjourn at
We need to sing happy birthday.
7:20. All right, 7:20. Motion by who? By Tom.
Second me.
Seconded by Terry. All those in favor? Those opposed? We are adjourned.
Wonderful.
Good meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
Right?